Some specialists and analysts argue that the Adani port or the Vizhinjam port, if it meets the end 2023 deadline, it promises to be a game changer for India. It has the potential to take ultra-large carrier ships and could be a major transit port, not just for our country, but for our region. Currently, ultra-large cargo containers, they sail to Dubai, Colombo or Singapore. State versus church over the Vizhinjam port, with neither willing to back down, remains our top focus story on India First. I'm Gaurav Sawant. As always, let's get started with the headlines. India Today exit polls trigger a massive political tremor, with a cliffhanger predicted in Himachal Pradesh. Sources say Congress may move its MLAs either to Rajasthan or Chhattisgarh. Maharashtra-Karnataka border dispute escalates. Protests rage in Belgavi. Sharad Pawar dares Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai, says don't test Maharashtra's patience. CBI to question TRS leaders and KCR's daughter Kavita on the 11th of December in connection with the Delhi liquor scam. This after Kavita requested that her questioning be delayed. Ex-Aam Aadmi Party councillor in the dock over 2020 Delhi riots. Delhi court says there was a clear objective to harm Hindus. Big boost for Make in India. Apple is said to be shifting a chunk of production of its iPhones and other products to India from China. The tech giant looks to hedge its bets after the recent unrest at the Foxconn plant in China. The Pinarayi Vijayan government in Kerala reiterated that the 7,500 crore rupee Adani port project will continue. They have conceded to some demands of the protesting fisherfolk led by the Latin Catholic Church, but at this stage, neither the church nor the fisherfolk appear satisfied. The deep-water port, the first of its kind in India, if and when completed, could be a major game changer for India. The government claims the church is out to stall projects and it benefits only outside powers, a charge that's strongly refuted by the protesters. Days after protests against the proposed seaport project in Kerala's Vizhinjam by the Adani group escalated and turned violent, the Pinarayi Vijayan government has hit back. Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan has reiterated the government will not stop the project. He insists there is a propaganda campaign to tarnish the image of his government and stall development of the state.
മറ്റൊരു ആരോപണം പറയുന്നത് കേന്ദ്രസേനയെ കൊണ്ടുവരുന്നു എന്നാണ്. കേന്ദ്രസേനയുടെ സുരക്ഷ ആവശ്യമാണെന്ന് അതിന്റെ നിർമ്മാതാക്കൾ ഹൈക്കോടതിയിൽ ആവശ്യപ്പെടുമ്പോൾ സർക്കാർ അതിനെ എതിർത്തില്ല എന്ന കാരണം പറഞ്ഞ് സമരത്തെ അടിച്ചമർത്താൻ കേന്ദ്രസേന വരുന്നു എന്ന വ്യാജ പ്രചരണം നടക്കുന്നുണ്ട്.
The left front government lashed out at the protesters backed by the Latin Catholic Church. Fisheries Minister Abdur Rahman called the agitation anti-national activity aimed at blocking the development of Kerala.
ഈ പോർട്ടിനെതിരായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു സമരം നിർമ്മാണ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾ ഏകദേശം പകുതിയിലധികം കടക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് നിർത്തിവെക്കണം എന്നുള്ള ആവശ്യം വരുമ്പോൾ അതിനെ അംഗീകരിക്കാൻ ഈ രാജ്യത്തിന് കഴിയില്ല. ഒരു സ്റ്റേറ്റ് ഗവൺമെന്റിന്റെ കാര്യമൊന്നുമില്ല ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു. ഒരു രാജ്യത്തിന്റെ സാമ്പത്തിക സ്ഥിതിയിൽ നട്ടെല്ലായി പ്രവർത്തിക്കേണ്ട ഒരു പോർട്ട് വരുമ്പോൾ ആ പോർട്ടിന്റെ പ്രവർത്തനം നിർത്തിവെക്കണമെന്ന് പറയാൻ ഒരു രാജ്യസ്നേഹിയായ ഈ രാജ്യത്തിന്റെ വികസനം ആവശ്യമാണ് എന്ന് തോന്നുന്ന ആർക്കെങ്കിലും മാറ്റിവെക്കാൻ കഴിയും.
The Congress meanwhile trained its guns on the Chief Minister.
The government is not acting. That is why the agitation is going on. This is not in the best interest of the country and the state and the people. I wonder why the Chief Minister is hesitating to discuss direct dialogue with the agitating people. Without any proof, how can he say that there is a doubt about the extremist fringe organizations behind that?
This despite the fact that it was the Congress government of Ooman Chandi that awarded the contract to Adani to build the port project after competitive bidding. On the 27th of November, protesters vandalized a local police station and assaulted a large number of police personnel, demanding work on the 7,525 crore rupee project be stopped. The police have registered 30 cases of rioting against the protesters, including Thomas J. Netto, the Archbishop of the Latin Archdiocese of Thiruvananthapuram, and 50 other priests. There are apprehensions that communal tensions may also flare up. Security has been strengthened in Vizhinjam. The CPIM and the BJP are both backing the project, while the principal opposition party, the Congress, is standing with the protesters. The Pinarayi Vijayan government has agreed to some of the demands of the protesters, including setting up of a panel to study the environment impact of the deep water port, but insists they will not stop work, which promises to be a game changer for India. With Shibimol in Thiruvananthapuram, Bureau Report, India Today. The Adani port project in Kerala is encountering choppy seas. Government officials maintain that the Latin Catholic Church-led protests are there to stall this project, the port that promises to be a game changer for Kerala and for the rest of the country. It's already missed deadlines. Will protests and delays further lead to cost escalation, and will that then result in this project not being financially viable? Is there a middle ground? The effort right now, even as we speak, is to find a solution so that protesters go back home and the development activity can continue. Development and local community progress, can it go hand in hand? Joining me on India First is Kevin Matthews Sunny. He's a local critic and the Joint Secretary of the KCF. I have Rahul Ishwar, an activist who's joining me on the broadcast. Also with me is George Joseph, a former top cop from Kerala. But my first question is to India Today's Shibi Mall, joining us with the latest on the story. Shibi, Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan insists that the project will not be stopped. But what is being done to address the concerns of the protesting fisherfolk and the Latin Catholic Church?
Well, Gaurav, the protest that has been started like around 3 months ago has been going very strong, and the state government has already conducted a lot of meetings. In fact, right now also meeting is going on to solve this issue. We saw in the last few months a lot of protests taking place, government and ministers taking responsibility and coming forward and organizing meetings. Now, what the government is saying is that out of the 7 demands put forward, 5 has been agreed by the state government, but the protesters here, led by the Latin Catholic Archdiocese, is demanding the stoppage of the construction of the port. Now, that's something the state government has clearly said. In fact, today in the Kerala Assembly also, Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan re-stressed on the fact that we will agree to any other demands, but the construction of the port will not be stopped, because it's a very important project for the state government as well as for the country. In fact, in the past few months, we also saw, especially after the Vizhinjam police station was attacked, we saw comments like whoever is against the port, from ministers side, who is against the port are anti-nationals, and which also escalated problems. So now the government is organizing meetings. They want to solve this problem. They're saying that we will agree to any other demands, but not the stoppage of the construction.
Interesting. Stay with me. Now that's a major concession, or is that a major concession? That the government is saying we'll accept any demand but will not stop construction. The government insists that this is a port that's in national interest. India could well become a major transit point. Kevin Matthews Sunny, Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan has made it clear the project will continue. 5 of 7 demands have been met. An expert panel is being set up to study the environmental impact of the port, minimum wages for fisher folk, relocation, all of that is being worked out. Will that satisfy the protesters, or will the Latin Catholic Church lead these protests till construction stops, sir?
Sir, one of the demands was that one representative of the protesters be included in the panel, expert panel, doing the studies. Because, see, when such a project comes, I understand that such a project is definitely very progressive, and it will bring a lot of good economy into the state. It will help the state in a lot of ways. But having said that, when people are about to lose their homes of livelihood, this it will be very difficult for you to convince them based on your argument of greater good. So,
no, hang on. Is the government not saying that acres of land, 8 acres or something, is being set aside? Is an alternate housing arrangement not being made? Are all these steps not being taken? Greater good for country. If India is to get a major transit point, a major transit deep water port, it's advantage India, disadvantage Dubai, disadvantage Sri Lanka, disadvantage Singapore. That is what at least the government is arguing. But Rahul Ishwar, Latin Catholic Archdiocese says, stall the project till the environment damage assessment study is completed. Have their member as part of this expert panel. Compensation, they've put some other demands also. Genuine grievances or stalling tactics?
Gaurav Savanji, 3 submissions. As our PM Modi ji brilliantly points out, we need to have economy on one hand and ecology on the other hand. On one hand, we need to have development, and on the other hand, we need to have welfare policies. So there should be a blend and balance. Second point, there is a happy consensus that is evolving. Yes, there has been some understanding going on, but right now the Latin Catholic Church and the other organizations have, at least temporarily agreed to withdraw from this stir. That's a positive thing. We all understand and respect the sentiments of our fishermen folk. At the same point of time, let me be very categorical. Vizhinjam is God's gift to Kerala and India. Kerala and India could become bigger than Dubai. It can be a huge challenge to Singapore and Ceylon, and we can be, because there is a 20 to 24 meter depth for this particular harbour. It can become a major transshipment point around the world, and Kerala and India can develop in a much more faster way. It can be very critical to our 5 trillion economy dream, and at least for the next 25 to 30 years. So I hope all the protesters who we respect at the same point of time, Adani's port is India's port, and that is very important for our growth. I hope all the protesters will see the sense, because this will affect their children and their grandchildren.
No, but is that the effort? Is that the effort? We'll go by past history. Is there a conspiracy, as the Kerala government alleges? Is there a conspiracy to stall Kerala's growth and the nation's growth? It's happened in other projects where India suffered and certain hostile countries, they gained. George Joseph also joins me on the broadcast. Give me a moment, I'll come back to you, because this is a very serious issue. Sir, the state is being accused of being high-handed in dealing with the church and the protesters. Merit in the government saying that outside forces are playing a very major role in stalling a major national development project. Mr. George Joseph, can you hear me, sir? Okay, give me a moment as you try and re-establish that link.
If I can do that.
Okay, Rahul Ishwar wants to come in. Quickly come in, sir, before I come back to Kevin.
I would measure my words in saying with great respect to church, but as Dr. Manmohan Singh pointed out, there are many people who don't understand the gravity of India's needs and they don't appreciate it. If there are some foreign players involved in it, I believe as Indians, every community should come together and resist it. Please remember, this is critical for India's growth, and people or vested interest from Dubai, Singapore or Ceylon or many other international players may have their vested interest in curtailing this project. Just like Kudangulam, who a very soft-spoken Manmohan Singh ji had to go on a hard-on space and say that there are many people who are behind this. It is very natural that people may suspect. But along with that, government should give a better package for our fishermen folks. We should all stand with them. But at the end of the day, nation comes first. We need India's progress in our mind.
You've made a very valid point. The criticism of Kudankulam. We'll talk about Kudankulam. We'll also talk about Stalemate in just a moment. But George Joseph, if you can hear me, sir. Has the
I can
state,
hear. I can hear.
sir, has the Kerala government been high-handed in dealing with the church and the protesters? Or is there merit in the government saying that there are vested interests and outside forces that are at play to stall a national development project?
Of course, it is a national development project. But see, the construction causing massive sea erosion there. That is the problem facing by the fishermen. In Kerala, near Vizhinjam, about 120 kilometers sea coast is there.
Yes.
So the fishermen community, their main demand is that due to the construction of the seaport, the sea erosion caused, and they could not fish natural fish. They could not fish. That is the problem. So if the seaport is completed, definitely they will lose their income. They could not fish in the sea. That is the problem. And they want to actually keep their boat and country boat and their net and fishing equipment near their house, very close to the seashore. So that area, due to the sea erosion, that entire earth area has been removed from there. That is the problem. And they are not actually against the construction of the seaport. And the fisherman is not at all against it. But the problem is, this is not, the other problems are simple problems that the government can very easily sort it out. But the problem here they face is, without the help of any UDF or LDF government or even the British government, they are actually going to the sea for fishing, and that also they call it a katamaram, and a country boat, and their net. They all keep it in the earth side.
Now, all the Kevin Matthews, Sunny, Latin Catholic Church opposed the Kudankulam project. The Latin Catholic Church was against the Sterlite copper plant. Who benefited? China. Latin Catholic Church opposes the Salem Expressway. Now, there are those who say that there must be closer scrutiny, not just of the Latin Catholic Church, the protests, and also the funds flow, sir.
That is true.
Rahul,
okay.
Saurabh, I agree with Rahul when he says that, and when you say that, okay, if there is even the minutest chance of collusion with foreign governments, foreign bodies, vested interest, that should be investigated. We have very capable investigative agencies, and that should be investigated. Because my understanding is that the church is actually raising certain concerns from the fishermen folk who is at the peril of losing their livelihood.
Sure.
And only in that case is this a concern. Otherwise, see, that is the only argument that can stand against this. And if, as you said, if there is even the slightest hint of a collusion with a foreign body or a vested interest, that is against the interest of this nation. It is of paramount importance that our intelligence bodies take action and bring that to light, and the culprits should be brought to justice.
Okay, let me also take that to George Joseph and to Rahul Ishwar one by one. Rahul Ishwar, if the Catholic Church, you mentioned Kudankulam, the same Latin Catholic Church in the eye of a storm over Sterlite copper plant, if that benefited China, is there merit in the contention? Look closely at the funding, look closely at the protests, and look closely whether they're working in national interest or are NGOs or groups or vested interests playing against the national interest.
Gauravji, I respect Kevin's words, who is an influencer in the regional community. And one more thing, my grandmother, my mother, myself and my son is studying in Christian schools. So we respect them very deeply. At the same point of time, there may be a strand of their people who might have a transnational interest, who are not very mindful of India's interest. But, you know, a majority or huge, 99% of majority of Indian Christians are with India's development. There might be some strands, you know, which places many things other than national interest over them. We have seen that in many strands of protest. But with due respect to them, their institutions and their service to our nation, I would humbly request them. Our nation's development is important, because at the end of the day, when our land develops, our families, our communities and everyone develops. We shouldn't let any foreign interest, if they are involving, interfere and poke nose into our nation. At the end of the day, we are Indians. We may have difference of opinion. We can fight it out. We can fight it out, have a cup of coffee. But at the same point of time, we should not let any other interest beyond national interest affect any of our policy decisions.
But no, but I want to understand this from George Joseph. Sir, you're a former senior police officer. If there is evidence, let there be evidence-based investigation, prosecution and conviction. These innuendos have been going on for too long. Right from the time, as Rahul Ishwar very rightly pointed out, Dr. Manmohan Singh in connection with Kudan Kulan had said that there are outside forces at play. Again with the Sterlite copper plant, which ultimately ended up benefiting China. India, being a net exporter, became a net importer of copper when the Sterlite project went down. Same groups, same interests were at play, but did any investigation, prosecution and conviction take place? Shouldn't there be an investigation and conviction, sir?
I had been in Vizhinjam, Povar and then their coastal police station. I had been there. I know this community. In ISRO, they had given 180 acres of land for, including their church and their schools, for the ISRO space. For that purpose alone, they have already surrendered. That you don't forget all these things. And in Vallarpadam, you know, in Vallarpadam project, nearly 3,000 crores of rupees were invested by the government, but it is going under loss. So the same thing will happen in Vizhinjam. That is Vizhinjam also. I think so that is why the people are against, certain people are against.
Sir, my point was on, I'm sorry, you're not answering my question. My question was very specific, and it was about the Latin Catholic Church and its alleged involvement in certain other projects. But I've run out of time on this part of the show, and we'll track the story very closely. It's of national interest, but breaking news coming in. Gentlemen, there's breaking news that's coming in. Protests against the Vizhinjam port construction by the fishermen community with support of the Latin Archdiocese is ending. That's what we are being informed. We are being informed that there is some kind of a solution that has been found. Protests have finally ended after talks with the Kerala government. Breaking news coming in on India Today. The stalemate ended after Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan held an emergency meeting with the committee heading the protests, and the government has decided to include the Latin Archdiocese bishop and members of the fishermen community in the panel that will look into some of these aspects. The government has also agreed to provide a rent of 5,500 rupees to all those families that are being displaced because of the Vizhinjam Coastal Zone project. I once again want to cut across to India Today's Shibimol for more on this story. Shibimol, what more can you tell us about this big story you're breaking here on India Today?
Well, Gaurav, we have to say that a 3-month-long intervention and discussions has finally come positive for the state government, as the protest committee has decided to call off the protest. As of now, this is a 3-month-long protest that's been taken. It's the 138th day of the protest. After so many discussions and interventions today, they met Chief Minister. In fact, first they met the Chief Secretary in the evening, and after that they met the Cabinet Subcommittee, and in a third round of discussion they met Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, and after that they've decided to end the protest as of now. Now, two main decisions has been taken in the meeting. One, the rehabilitation. A lot of people are living in the cement godowns as well as government schools. Yes. Now all of them will be shifted to a new place, with the government paying around 5,500 rupees as rent. Now they were demanding rupees 8,000 as rent, and the government had earlier said that 5,500 will be provided by the government, 2,500 will be provided from the Adani Port CSR fund. Now the Latin Catholic group has said that they don't want that fund, they only want the 5,500. Now that's one decision. The second is an expert committee. Now, one important point raised by the protest committee was always to stop the construction of the port and study the effects on coastal erosion. Now, that committee will be formed by the Latin Catholic Diocese with two experts from their side, which will be monitored by the Chief Secretary.
Work will not stop.
These are two main decisions taken by the state government here. Also, No, the port construction, absolutely, this is a big, big victory. In fact, politically also, when we see big victory for the state government, considering that they maintain that the port construction will not be stopped. Now, the protest committee had to give to, in the end, had to give up to the state government stand that the the port construction will not stop, because in the last few months we saw unusual scenes like the Vizhinjam police station being attacked, policemen getting injured.
Boats being set on fire, police station vandalized. We'll track that story very, very closely. Shivimol breaking that big story here. First on India Today, the port construction will continue, but the protests are being stopped for now with certain demands having been met.